Hello.
Hello, this is Tina Curtis. I'm calling from the district government. I'm calling for Anna Agoli.
Yes, hi.
May I please speak with her?
This is she.
Hi, Ms. Agoli. My name is Tina Curtis, as I stated. I'm the district's privacy and security person.
Yes.
And I work in the Office of the Attorney General. And I received an email. I was copied on an email concerning a request that you recently made to the fire department, and you were asked to go to the court and get a court order or something like that. And I wanted to understand what it is that you're requesting, so that I can make sure that you get the help that you need and getting the information that you need. Can you please explain to me what you're requesting in terms of codes or something like that?
I want the medical codes that you use. You have questions on your medical forms. When somebody goes by ambulance, you have a form. Some of the questions are not in plain English, and some of the answers to that are also not in plain English. They're coded. They may be a word that people recognize, but they're not what normal English dictionary would have as a definition. Okay? I want to know the coded questions, whether they are actual codes like, acronyms, or whether they're words that only people who work at FEMS understand, and the answers, the different answers that can be made.
So when you say, just to make sure that I understand what it is that you are, well, I've got a follow-up question to that, but let me ask you, just so that I don't have to ask you twice. Would you mind if I got their attorney in FEMS to join the call? Would you mind? I mean, I want to protect you. I want you to be comfortable here with the conversation, but since I don't work at FEMS, I want to understand and be really clear about what's asked for, because I'm wondering whether or not you have to get a court order, or whether we can just somehow give you the explanation that you require. And again, I'm just reviewing the matter. As I look at the email, I just thought that I needed to sort of dig a little deeper to make sure that we're answering the question that you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if I grab the attorney, or would you just feel comfortable?
Who's the attorney?
Her name is Marceline Alexander.
Okay.
Have you spoken with her before?
No, I didn't want it to be Anita Massengale.
Oh, no, she doesn't work for the department anymore.
Oh, thank God.
No, she doesn't work here. She doesn't work here. Dr. Miramontes doesn't work here anymore. They've had several staff changes.
Does Tolan Butler still work there?
I've heard the name Butler, but I don't know his first name. But there is a Mr. Butler who I've met at FEMS, but I don't know if his first name is Colin or not.
Tolan, T-O-L-L-A-N-D, and he is T-O-L-L-A-N-D, and he is actually an EMT worker. He goes in the ambulance.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know.
The agency is very vast, and since October, I've been sort of working more closely with the agency, and so I've seen a lot of faces, and I've met a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that I know everyone who's in the field. So they have, about 2,000 to 3,000 people in the field. Mm-hmm. Where I am, where I've been since October, is working closely with the chief's staff, and that's how I came across the email, because I'm the city's privacy person, and Miss Washington is the agency's privacy person, and so she's trying to make sure that you have the right information. But I'm sort of reviewing what I saw from Miss Washington. Mm-hmm. So again, I don't think you've spoken with the attorney.
No, I haven't spoken with the attorney.
Do you mind if I grab her, just so that I can make sure that I understand these agency questions and whatever form you're talking about? Do you mind if I do that, or?
Okay.
Okay, hold a sec. I'm going to have to walk up the hall.
Okay.
So I need you to hang tight for a second. Okay,
sure.
Hold, please. In fact, I won't even press the hold button, just in case I disconnect you, okay?
Okay.
Just hold on for a second. I'm going to place the phone on my desk and walk down the hall, okay?
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Agoli, I'll be right back. Okay, Ms. Agoli, I've missed her. She's not in her office.
Okay.
Ms. Agoli?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So give it to me. Now, let's see. Okay. So let me write down what you're saying. Okay, so you're saying that when a provider, meaning an EMT person, when they come to the patient's home, you're saying that there's a list of questions that they have?
Well, they may ask you a couple of questions like, what's your insurance? But, or they already have the 911 call to go by in terms of, what you complained about. Then they may come and ask you your insurance, or they may ask you for your ID or something. But there's a list of questions there on the form that they answer. And the questions are sometimes, are pretty self-evident, and some of them are not self-evident. They're coded. For instance, an answer to something could be Charlie. Okay, Charlie is something that you and I understand, but we don't know what that means when it's written on that form.
Okay, so when you say the form, the form that...
Whatever medical records you have. There's a form that they fill out.
ECR form.
Yeah, there's a form that they fill out, but there's other medical record too, I'm sure, that goes behind that form. Whatever medical record that you have, that you ask questions or you write things that you look at those medical records, and you as a layperson are not going to understand that. You might be able to make some things out, like if they have to write a sentence. But even within the sentence, there are definitions, descriptions of certain conditions and whatever that person is describing in a coded word. Okay, they're not saying...
I understand.
Yeah, you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're calling it Charlie, and they're talking about a heart attack, something like that.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. So what I'm thinking, and when I called you, what I was thinking is that you asked for a copy of your medical records. You got that.
I got that.
Have an issue with what is with what is in the record, and you've asked for an amendment of that, and the department said that they don't feel that they are able to amend, but that you have an opportunity to file a letter with the department, basically further explaining, and in order to do that, you need to have more information.
Yeah, I need to know what...
for codes, etc.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that the form that you're talking about is actually your medical record that you got a copy of, and perhaps there are codes, etc., on that form that you need further explanation for.
Right.
And so there are codes there that are not clear to you, as you put it, are not written in plain English,
right,
such that you want to understand, what does that code mean?
Yes.
But then I'm also hearing you say, though, you want to understand the questions that they ask.
The questions.
I know that I can help you with that.
Yeah, the questions and the answers, and even their plain English explanations, like in the description, those will contain codes too. They may call something, like I said, they may call a heart attack Charlie or something else. So you may read it and you don't really understand for sure what they're saying. It's not quite clear. It's not plain English.
Okay, and again, but that goes back to on the form. Now, I can help you with the form, and I can get whether I need to get a meeting together for you such that people can walk you through and explain to you what is, what is in the four corners of your record. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
If there are specific codes that are on your record that we need to make sure that we provide you with an explanation of, I can do that. Because my area is, again, to make sure that your patient rights are protected.
Well, yeah. So when I asked, I filed that.
As it pertains to privacy.
Yes. What you would do, if you're responding to the court order, you would give me every possible code, because if you give me just the codes that are on there, you're revealing my medical record. Because that would become part of the court record, probably.
Right, but what I'm concerned about is if you need to get an explanation of your record, Ms. Agoli, and an explanation of the codes, I'm concerned about our getting to you an explanation of those codes, and I don't see where you have to go to a court to get those.
Well, I was told your Miss Angela Washington told me to do that. I didn't. I didn't make that up on my own.
Right. So and that's what I'm reviewing, and I just want to make sure. And I'm walking into the conversation a bit late, and I'm reviewing it and doing my due diligence, and I want to make sure again that we're not having you take an extra step, and as you said,
I appreciate
that people know what it is that you're talking about.
Right.
A court, etc. Now, if it turns out that there's something within FEMS that says that they require court orders for lists of codes or whatever, I've got nothing to do with that. But from a patient's point of view, if you have a record and there are codes on the record, then you have a right to know what it is that we're talking about.
Yes, I do have a right to know.
An impression or something like that, if there are abbreviations, if there are codes, anything pertaining to you, then we've got to get you that information such that you can really be able to understand.
Yeah, I can't ask for an amendment. I can't ask for an amendment if I don't know what you wrote there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. And I'm just saying that as I review the emails, I don't think that the court step is required. It's my job to make sure that you have your record, that you have access to it, that you fully understand it. And if you have a question with the record or you want it amended, then it's my job to make sure that we are processing your request according to what your rights are under law. Now, I can't go and twist the arm of the agency or tell a provider what they saw or didn't see. No, you can't, and you cannot, given that you haven't changed the record, you said that they were correct, you really don't know what his impression was. Nobody was there but me and him. So the agency is not in a position to say that his impression was correct. Well, with respect to, and I will tell you that with respect to the agency's decision not to amend the record, they had to talk with the provider an actual signatory to that document.
And who did they talk to? Who did they talk to?
I don't know which employee it was, but I do know that when the medical team reviewed it, when the office of the medical director reviewed that, that was part of it. Miss Washington did not just on her own say we can't amend it. No, there had to have been research done where they went back and talked with the provider to say, is this record correct? Is this something that can be changed? Are these the impressions that you saw? That's sort of what
I'd like to see what that person said. I'd like to see what that person responded to those questions with.
Well, I don't know about that, Miss Agoli. I think that
because you took his word for
deliberative process.
Yeah, you took his word for it, and you don't know the other side of that story. You don't know what really happened. You really don't know. All you know is what he told you, which he could have told you from experiences with other people, and what would be expected for him to see, for him to be able to use those codes that he used. Okay, so he knows what those codes are for. He doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily an accurate use of those codes, but he knows what those codes are for, so he knows how to answer those questions, whether truthfully or not.
Right, but I mean, if someone met, if they met and had the person look at and I wasn't a part of that inquiry, but if they met with the provider, and they reviewed, or that team reviewed the records to make, because they've got to do this in order to determine whether or not they can can honor your request for an amendment.
Okay, and the person who reviewed it was who? Anita Massengill?
No. Anita Massengill has been. So I've been here since October.
This complaint has been around for a couple of years now. I've been trying to get an answer. So if you're here since October, you don't really know. I mean, I don't know how far back your record goes, but I complained about this in 2013, around this time.
Wow.
I'm only getting an answer now. I complained about it way back then.
And what sparked my involvement is that HHS contacted the district government this year, not in 2013.
Yeah, well,
Are you saying that you contacted HHS in 2013?
No, I contacted the Friends in 2013, and I had to deal with Anita Massengill, who really, without taking my complaint, went ahead and just fixed it all. I don't know what in the world she meant by that, but she fixed it, and she protected Mr. Tolan Butler, and everything was fine. No one was answering my question. I kept asking for these codes. It's 2 years now I'm asking for these codes. I asked her, I asked Gerald Coles, I asked Ellerby. They all stonewalled me. Mr. Coles was about to investigate and make a change, and all of a sudden, nobody answered me anymore. So I filed complaints against them, and then I filed a complaint with HHS, too.
Okay. But so from our point of view, so HHS reached out to us in February of 2015. That's when I learned about this.
Yeah, that's when
your complaint?
Yeah.
So that's when I learned about this. So apparently you actually complained to them in May of 2014, and given what you just described,
13.
Like you were probably, Yeah. 14 is when you reached out to HHS.
Yes, that's when I reached out to HHS, and it was on the anniversary of one of the final emails, close to the final email I sent to Mr. Ellerby, or I think I sent him again in September. I sent him in 2013. So the 6 months, it's 180 days that you have to wait, that you have before you have to file a complaint with HHS. So I filed a complaint within that 180 days.
Got it.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it. Okay, but I'm just trying to let you know that I understand that you were in communication with the department and then you were in communication with HHS in 2014, but HHS did not involve my office. I didn't find out about this until 2015, February.
Okay, no, I understand that.
And I didn't understand what the request was.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like there were conversations and things like that. So once I hear the request, once I tease out the request, I began to look for this form. Like, where is this? Did you fill out an amendment request form?
No.
That was never done, such that an amendment could be processed.
I didn't even sign the form he did do. Okay, he has a form that I don't know if he signs it, but I didn't sign it. I didn't agree to it.
No, that's not that. I'm talking about an amendment request form, which would give me the ability to under HIPAA, you have a right to request an amendment.
Yes, I know that.
That's process that. That wasn't done, apparently.
No, it wasn't.
And so
that's correct. It wasn't done then, and it isn't being done now because Miss Washington did not give me that as an option. Okay,
well, what we did, just to make sure you understand, when we got the request, when we got the information from HHS, one of the discoveries in my due diligence was that we did not have a formal amendment request, and we could have, A, made you go through that, or B, figured out, well, what is the request? Because you have a right to have that request processed.
Yes, I know.
HHS clarified your request for you, and therefore you didn't have to go back and fill out that form. Every other patient who would want that request would have to fill out that form.
Okay, so
HHS clarified the request, and that's what we responded to in terms of giving you the letter.
Yes.
That's what that was. So as far as I'm concerned, you still, at this point, you clearly don't agree with the agency's position that they can't.
No, I don't believe the agency's position, because if you only had a conversation with him, and this is people before you, you don't even know, I mean, you weren't there when that, it's happened before your time, apparently, from what you're saying. That I can tell you this, that I was never able to file a complete complaint because I couldn't get the information from them that I needed to be able to file a legitimate complaint with them. They just wouldn't give it to me. Okay?
They wouldn't give you the codes and the questions.
They wouldn't give me the codes. They never told me that I needed to fill out a form. That's, and the way Nita Massengill handled it, it was like, she got her ducks in a row. Basically, translate what she actually meant. She got her ducks in a row. Now, the hell with me, is basically what it is, because it started off with you have to put your complaint in writing, and all of a sudden she tells me to call her, and I call her, and I leave her a message because she's not there. Then she calls me at 7:30 in the morning, and she wants to get her legal ducks in a row. She's not interested in anything that I needed, and the fact that I didn't file a complaint yet. You wanted it in writing. I want to do it in writing. She wasn't interested in that. She took care of Toll and Butler. That was all she needed to do, and she got everything. She picked my brains and just interrupted me as I talked to try to answer her questions, and just got what she needed, little bites that she needed to put her record together so that she could fix it so that no one is wrong over there. Unfortunately for her, I filed a complaint about that elsewhere because I couldn't file a complaint with Gerald Coles because I started off filing it, over her head, and he started answering like a normal person, and all of a sudden, he stonewalled me. There's no more answer. So I filed a complaint.
Which name is that again? Gerald Coles?
Gerald Coles, Coles, okay. I believe. And then after that, it was Ellerby. I called around. I called 911 to have them arrest Mr. Butler because actually I told him I didn't want to go to UMC. He took me there anyway without telling me. Okay? So I needed him arrested because he didn't do what he was supposed to have done. He did what he wasn't supposed to have done. He had a very good reason to lie on the form. He had very good reason to lie on the form. So
Okay.
Okay, so,
all right, so
that's what I mean when I tell you you don't know. Somebody may have interviewed him, and they may have done what they needed to do, and he may have answered and stuff like that, but you still don't know what really happened. Because if you did know what happened,
I wasn't there, and you were there with the provider.
That's right.
And you're right. You're in a better position.
That's right. His word is not better than mine. Yeah, his word does not outrank mine. In fact, if there's something, it's at least equal. But if someone's word is more important than the other, mine is, because I'm the customer.
Right. I understand that. But when they create the patient medical record,
mm-hmm.
you have rights with respect to getting access to that record,
mm-hmm.
and and you have other rights as well. One of which is requesting, not demanding, but requesting an amendment of that information if you feel that there's information there that is erroneous. Right?
Yes, not only erroneous but libelous.
Okay. I understand that. And so that's where we are in terms of making sure that you have what you need, such that you can respond to the department's determination, which is, again, after they looked into it, they feel that the record is correct and that they can't, just as I look at the letter to you, the record is correct and that they can't make the amendment. So, again,
I'd like to know the basis of that.
Bring us full circle.
Yeah, I'd like to know the basis. If that I have a legal right to that. I think that I do. I would like to know the basis of the agency's determining that was correct. Like, what did he tell them, and what happened in that meeting when they got that information from him? And I also want to know, so that I can correct the record. I want to know the codes. Now, I'm supposed to go today to the court to get that subpoena, that whatever that is, that I was told to get the petition to get the court order to get the record. And in fact,
you tell me what you want to do. I didn't know that you had an appointment to go today, or that you were expected to go down today for any hearing or whatever.
I told Angela Washington yesterday. She called me yesterday.
Okay.
And told me, what happened was I got the paperwork from the court. I filled it out and I filed it based on what she told me. Okay. I filed it. I thought I was supposed to be getting some kind of form, but I didn't get a form. But she told me to do this. I went ahead and did this. So I got the paperwork. I filed it on Friday. And I got a call from the court a couple of days ago. Yesterday. I got a call from the court yesterday telling me I have to come. And, actually they were supposed to serve it on Angela Washington, not me. Because what I did is I mailed her a copy of everything. And so they told me that I have to go in there because there has to be a hearing date, and I have to, get that done that way, and the court serves Angela Washington apparently. Then Angela Washington called me a little later on and told me that what I sent her was insufficient. That there's supposed to be a hearing date on that. Now, you're calling, I said, I apologize, it's not something I do every day, but I apologize to her for the confusion. I said I sent it myself. I didn't realize that they were supposed to be sending it to you with a hearing date on it. I thought I'd hear from them, and I did, and they told me to come in today before 4 o'clock, so I have to leave around another 15 minutes if I'm going to go there, and get them to do it the way it's supposed to be done. So now you're calling and telling me I don't need to do that.
Well, I'm calling you, again, not to say specifically that you don't need to do that. I just, as I look at the email, Ms. Agoli, as I'm looking at what it is that you're requesting, if you are requesting, again, my goal is to make sure that within the 4 corners of that patient care report, your medical record, that you have the information that is needed in order for you to understand information pertaining to you. So if that's what you need, and if I can provide that to you, the goal of this call.
Yes, you can. If you can, yes, absolutely. Provide it to me.
So that's what I want to understand. So when you say, so what I was hoping you would say is, Ms. Curtis, for example, there's a code such and such and such. There's a code such and such and such. There's a code such and such and such. I need to know what those mean so that I can respond meaningfully.
It's not that simple because I don't know which one of those things. Some of those words are regular words, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I would like to know from you what that entire form says, all my record says in regular English. And
well, how about this? How about I set up a meeting with someone who can sit with you and go through your medical record and explain everything that's on the medical record in terms of codes and everything else. Would that help?
It might help.
Would that help you with your letter?
It might help me. It might be helpful, but it wouldn't be totally helpful because I would need to sit and...
I'm sorry, repeat that, Ms. Sigoli. I was switching ears, and you said it might be, and I didn't hear...
Okay, yeah, it might be helpful somehow, but it wouldn't be completely helpful because whenever you ask a question, a lot of times a person answers you, and then there's a follow-up question. Or you go back, you have this meeting, and then you go back and you say, I forgot to ask him this. I just noticed that. I didn't bother to ask him about this because I was concerned about this at the moment. See, with the meeting, it's over when it's over. I would rather we have a meeting in writing. You can send me an email, go through the record, and all the things that you know are code and that lay people are not going to understand or might have a question about. You can send me that in an email saying, this means this, that means that, that means that. And it's pretty simple. Some of those questions are numbered too. But you can quickly say, this thing, name, I'm going to give you an example just using the name. Let's say I don't understand what name is. You put name and then my actual name. This means if what the parents told them, the parents said the person should be named, and this is the actual answer. And there are going to be other questions with their answers that are not going to be as self-evident as name and social security number. Those are the ones, that you go through. And even if it might seem a little bit obvious to you, go ahead and translate that for me. Go through the form. Give me another form with the English subtitles, so to speak, And then this way I can sit and look at it. And if I have any further questions, I'll ask them on email. And then when I get an answer, and I've gotten enough answers that I feel satisfied that I understand everything that this form says, or forms, I don't know if there was more than just that one piece of paper. Once I've understood everything that says, and I can say this isn't correct, or ask more questions that have to do with how did he come up with this, kind of thing. Once I get all that, I'll go back, maybe back and forth a few times until I'm satisfied with it. And I'm asking also, not just for the form, but what you have on record. Was that decided that he was correct in his impression without anybody being there with him? How that was decided, based on what? Okay, I want that too if I can get it, because I can answer to those too. And then at that point, I can make a request for amendment. If you're telling me that I don't need to bother to go get a court order signed by a judge, send me an email. Put that to me in writing that you told me that really isn't necessary because you're going to do it without the court order.
Okay, Ms. Agoli, with respect to what I'm telling you that I don't think you need a court order for is for me to ensure that you have an explanation for those aspects of your medical record which are not clear.
Yeah,
such as codes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand your request to be. And so I'm calling you to confirm
Yeah.
If that's your request. And if that's your request, I'm pretty confident in my ability to get you that information.
Mm-hmm.
Requesting something more in terms of how they were able to determine that the record was correct and everything else, and that's a little bit more than what I can provide. But in terms of what the codes are, etc. In fact, do you have the medical form with you?
No, I don't have it. I don't have it out in front of me. I don't have it out in front of me.
I'm trying to get an idea of what.
No, I'm not going to tell you over the phone. I'm not telling you over the phone. It's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be a documented thing. Your answers and my questions are going to be a documented thing.
Okay. Well, I tell you what then. Do you want to write me an email? And what I can do, if you want me to basically say, if I can clarify what your request is, and I can send you an email and say, if you're requesting codes or that we define codes that are in your medical record, because again, my goal is to make sure that you understand what's in your medical record.
Yeah.
If you're asking me to explain that, then if you could please get me, examples or provide for me the things that you need defined. Now, I'm happy to give you that email, but let me be clear. Once we start communicating in email, you are compromising your own medical information because we're putting, and we're talking about information that is mental health in nature, in addition to the fact that typically when we deal with, when I'm transmitting something electronically, then that it's not the most secure method of communication. But if that's how you want to communicate, then that's fine. But that's not what I suggest. And if you want to send me an email telling me to write you as opposed to talking with you, then that's fine, Ms. Agoli. Because again, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you understand your record, and I don't want to begin with the past in mind, because I know that you said that you've gone back and forth at length since 2013 in email, and I'm not trying to put you through that.
No, it's just
really want to get to the bottom of what it is that you need and get you the information, Ms. Agoli, so that you can do your letter.
Well, what I need is the codes and both questions and answers that are on that medical record. And what I also want is whatever, and you said you don't have control over that, how do I get control over that? Whatever process that was gone through to ensure that he was telling the truth, I want to see what sleight of fancy that required, and I want to see that, because
okay, so
I can't.
Let me send you then an email, which basically clarifies that I am interested in providing you with information which will enable you to be able to interpret your medical record. My preference is that you come in and I can arrange for someone to walk you through the medical record such that you understand the codes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
If and then I need you to tell me that you don't want a meeting. You want me to give it to you in writing or whatever. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you're adding time to this, and where I could get you a meeting in a matter of days, and you could have answers to those codes, we're going to be going back and forth with email. And
we're going to be going back and forth even if you have a meeting.
I'm sorry, Ms. Agoli.
I'm not going to be rushed by a meeting. I need to find out what's on there, and if I forget something, I need to be able to go back and ask you.
But if we have a conversation, Ms. Agoli,
yeah.
If there are things that you, because the purpose of this conversation, the purpose of the meeting, is for you to understand the medical record.
Yes.
Now, once you understand, wait a second. Once you understand that, then where we are in this process is you are preparing a letter which basically says, here's why I disagree. But my understanding is that you need to have information in order to prepare that letter. That's what I'm trying to get you. So you have every opportunity, once you understand the codes, etc., to come back and explain in that letter what the basis of your disagreement is. I'm trying to get you that information.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. So if you can send me the record, you know, with the codes explained underneath the actual, like this one says name and Anagoli, and underneath says name means your given name and social security number, and then all the other codes, even if some of them are self-evident, just explain them.
Mr. Agoli, those are not codes. I'm thinking, when I read your email, that there are some abbreviations that you don't understand.
No, I'm not talking.
So my goal is to make sure that you understand those.
No, it's not abbreviations. I told you clearly. Some of them are acronyms, and some of them are actual words that are in the dictionary, but for FEMS personnel, it means something different than it would for a normal person using a regular dictionary.
Okay, let me ask you to hold on for a moment, Ms. Agoli. Please hold on.
Thank you. She's got somebody in there talking to her. Yes, I?
Mr. Agoli?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Hello?
Agoli?
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Agoli?
Hello, are you? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Ms. Agoli?
Yes, hello. I'm talking to you. You don't hear me. You have me on mute. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Goley. This is Tina Curtis.
Hi.
Called back.
I think you had me on mute. Your phone was on mute. I kept telling you I was there, and you kept calling my name. So.
You know what? So I guess I'm not the best secretary here. I didn't realize that the phone was on mute. So
maybe when you put me on hold.
That.
Yeah, that's all right. I was about to send you an email letting you know.
Okay. Great. Okay, so where are we in terms of what I can comfortably provide to you with respect to, and like I said, if you need an email to say this, I can put it in email, but I'm trying to get this matter resolved as quickly as possible so that you can get your letter in.
Okay. Is there a deadline for that letter?
No, there's not a deadline for the letter. The deadline is with respect to when we receive your amendment request, the official amendment request, we have a deadline for responding to that. And so that's already gone. After that, the law is silent as to what your response time is. But I do want you to do it quickly, because if we have a request for records or something like that, if we disclose something, you won't have a record of what your objection is to the information that's being disclosed.
Okay.
And your letter provides an opportunity for your side of the story to be a part of your record.
Okay, so once I answer you and I give you my letter requesting the amendment, then you have a deadline for responding to that. But right now, there's no deadline.
Right. So,
okay.
So again, let me start again. Remember when I said that HHS contacted us in February to say that you actually had a complaint against our agency? That's when we were first notified.
Mm-hmm.
There was no record of an actual amendment request being processed. HHS did that on your behalf. They basically said, here is the amendment request. And so that is what we processed. And so the deadline for that is 60 days. I think you got it within 25 days or something like that. So that part is done. Now there aren't any more deadlines. So if you want to wait a month, you can wait a month. I'm just saying that I think that we can get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible, because you've been in this conversation for a while. So I want to end this.
So you only got notified by HHS in February? So that was an appeal on my part. I wrote to them back in May.
Yeah, 2014, right. We were just notified in February of 2015.
Okay. So that was the first time you ever heard of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Time that I've ever heard of it. So therefore, you don't have to file an amendment request. We could have come back to you and said, hey, file one. You didn't fill out this form, but why do that? The quickest way to do it was for HHS to clarify what the request was, so that we could go ahead and process it pursuant to what your rights are under the law. That's what we did. Now there's an opportunity for you to file a letter to supplement your record and to let us know what your disagreements are. The purpose of this call is to make sure that you understand what is in your record. So if I can set up a meeting to help you do that, so that you can talk with people, professional folks within FEMS who can describe what's in that record, the codes and things like that, I'm here to facilitate that.
Okay.
If that doesn't help you, then
it'll only help me some.
It won't waste more time.
It won't do the job. It will help me some. I need to get back, because I don't think you're talking. I had told you originally that there are acronyms in there that I don't understand, and responses, questions and answers of acronym, consisting of acronyms. But there's also plain English responses that don't have, that are not what you would find in a regular dictionary as a definition. There's a different definition for acronyms.
With respect, I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but just before I forget my point, because this is where I placed you on hold earlier, and thanks for repeating that. with respect to some of the plain meaning items, like you said, name.
Yeah, I was using that as an example. That's an example of how I want you to do it. So you take, you could just go through the form, starting with name. Name means name. Then the next thing, Social Security number, that's what's on the form. That's not really what I have a question about. It's an example. Then there's other things on the form, and just go one by one with every one, each question, each answer. This means this means this. And sometimes the meaning is exactly self-evident, but sometimes it's not going to be self-evident. It may be self-evident.
I think that the most pointed way to make sure that you understand your record is if I arrange a conversation, for you to be clear about what it is that you don't understand. And I think we should focus on those parts.
No, you got to tell me. No, it can't be just what I don't understand. Because I can take for granted that something means what I think it means, and it may mean something else entirely.
Okay, let me make sure that you understand this part, Mr. Goley. We're talking about two agencies here.
Yes.
So on your medical form, there are some portions which are populated by another agency. That's the Office of Unified Communications. I'm not sure whether you're aware of that.
No, I'm not aware of it, but the same codes, right? They use the codes that you're going to provide.
I don't know what their codes are.
Okay.
Yeah, FEMS wouldn't know that.
Who would know that?
So let's say, for example, someone at OUC would know that. The Office of Unified Communications, they would know that.
Okay, so then I really have to file a petition against Office of Unified Communications and you guys.
Well, I'm not telling you that you need to do that. What I want to make sure that you understand is that when you look at your medical record, there are some items on the medical record which did not come from FEMS. So, for example, when you place a 911 call, FEMS does not take that call. That's the Office of Unified Communications. So some of that information, name, address, some of those things are pre-populated. And then the treatment, not the diagnosis, but the impressions, those kinds of things, those would come from FEMS. I want to make sure that you understand that.
Okay.
What I don't want to do is to waste your time telling you to go to this court, go to that court. I want you to have the right conversation with the right provider or the right creator of the record such that you walk away with a firm understanding of anything that you don't understand on the record so that you can get that letter in here.
Okay, so when I ask for a correction of an amendment, I'm asking for an amendment with you guys only of FEMS or the OUC information too?
Okay, so if you have information which is incorrect within the EPCR, that's the Electronic Patient Care Report, that FEMS has, you would basically be asking FEMS to amend that form. What I'm telling you, or what I'm trying to explain, is that part of that form has information which is populated not by FEMS, but by another agency. So if there's something like, if your name, for example, is incorrect, I think that it's pretty fair to say that FEMS could, look at your ID and say, okay, well, that's a reasonable request for an amendment, and that might be something that they can amend. However, if we're talking about about OUC and they're having a code for whether or not you're in Ward 8 or Ward 7, that might be an OUC question. But I don't think your concerns are that. Your concerns are about mental health impressions and their treatment codes and observation codes. That's what I think you want to get at. And I don't want to make it too convoluted because I think that that's probably what happened in the past. The conversation just got a little complex. I'm trying to simplify it.
Stonewalling is not a complex conversation at all. Just don't answer.
I'm sorry?
All I did was ask for the codes, and they just wouldn't answer.
No,
That's not a convoluted conversation.
Okay.
That's not they just wouldn't answer. Basta. That's all they did. Not answer. All three of them, all the same response. No answer. That's not a convoluted conversation. We never got to convoluted. They wouldn't answer it.
Right.
Okay. So it sounds to me like I have to subpoena from Office of Unified Communications because actually the 911 call went into them, so that should differ from the impressions of the EMT. The information I gave to 911 was different than what the EMT put down on the thing.
But why would you, okay, so I'm not understanding the subpoena portion of it. Typically for subpoenas, Ms. Agoli, if I, let's say, for example, I'm your next door neighbor, and I saw you get in an ambulance, and I'm interested in knowing what happened with you, and I call FEMS and ask for your medical record, FEMS is going to tell me no.
Of course not.
Now, if I can go and get, if I want to insist that I have access to your record, then that's when we're talking about a subpoena and stuff like that, to give people access who ordinarily would not have access because they don't have a federal right to have access. I'm not convinced that you need a subpoena to get your own information and to get an explanation of it. That's why we're having this conversation.
I'm not asking for my own information. I'm asking for your codes.
Because it's for your own record.
Yeah, but I'm asking for the codes. That's what the summons says. The petition says.
When you say the code, but when you say the codes,
you give me the codes. You can give me all the codes for everything, every possible condition, an impression, whatever. And I'll pick out the ones that are applicable to my form. This way, when you answer the court, nobody knows what my medical record contains. All they know is the FEMS codes. So what you're saying, I also have to get the information from Office of Unified Communications to make sure that the condition that I called in is entirely different than the condition that this individual had an impression on. Maybe he was on drugs or something, but he had an impression. He put that down and had nothing to do with what I called about. Okay, those are two different pieces of information right there. And there's a recording of the other one, of that telephone call, the 911 call. There's a recording of that somewhere, right? So they can't misrepresent it.
You're entitled to that. And you're entitled to that. I don't know if you have that, but you're certainly entitled to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so they keep that for 2 years, though. So if you need that, you need to very quickly make a request for that information, like very quickly.
Oh, I know, because they called on April 1st, so it's already 2 years.
Okay. Well, let me make sure that we're clear. With respect to what I can provide, if you're contesting, let's say for example, that you're contesting your blood pressure, all that we can tell you in terms of explaining is what your blood pressure was and the time that it was taken, so that you understand what is on the form. If there's an abbreviation, if there's something like that, we can explain that. If you have a question about what is on the form, we can, related to your specific encounter with the department, we can provide that. Those things are within your rights, your HIPAA rights to get, and that's why we're on this call.
Yeah.
Because my goal is to make sure that you have everything pertaining to what you have a right to get under HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something else that you want to do, then that's beyond this telephone call. But Ms. Agoli, I'm really trying to help you get the information in order to understand your form.
I accept your help, but I'm just trying to make sure you understand what I want. I want the definitions of all your questions, okay, on the form. plain, simple English definitions. Even if some are self-evident, you can give those also, or you can omit Social Security number, you can omit that, my name, you can omit that, my address, you can omit that, but the other stuff that they write in that you're saying that FEMS fills in, because I'm obviously going to have to go to court for the OUC one, because I don't know how to get it otherwise. Okay, no one from there is calling me.
Okay, so
I want those definitions.
You said someone is calling you. You need to put them on hold.
No. I said no one from OUC is calling me, so I'm going to have to go to court for that. But
I don't think you need to go to court with respect to this medical form. I'm not convinced that that's the way to go. That's why I'm calling you, Ms. Agoli.
So, but you just told me, maybe I'm not understanding you. You just told me that the certain information on that is filled in by OUC and certain information is filled in by FEMS. So I'm going to be able to get from you FEMS explanations of codes and answers, but OUC has to answer for themselves, correct? Because you said you don't.
But for me, you're going to get explanations of codes and answers on the form that you have a question about, things that are unclear.
Everything.
That's what I'm going to provide you with.
Because I'm not going to leave to chance that I understood something when I actually didn't. I'm not leaving that to chance. That's why I'm asking you for everything. You don't have to worry about number one, number two, or whatever question. Just give me everything. Because
okay, so when you say everything, let's say, for example, on this one, I'm not looking at an EPCR, which is why I asked you if you had a copy of your medical record.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
I need to narrow the conversation. We've got to narrow this so that we can get you what it is that you need, Ms. Agoli. Now, let's say, for example, the form has 20 questions on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you which of those 20 you need explanations for.
Okay.
And if there are abbreviations, etc., that's what I'm happy to get you. And if there's some, and so I'm just letting you know, just so that for your own information, that some of the information on there may come from OUC. Because you may say, oh, well, that's not the spelling of my name, or that's whatever. Then I can go back. If we have to correct that, then I'll have to make sure that OUC corrects it, as well as FEMS.
Okay,
just letting you know where the information is derived from. I'm not trying to send you on a treasure hunt here.
Okay, that makes it much easier. Thank you for explaining that, because I got the impression the first time you said it that it's like two different, I have to deal with both agencies. But I can get the entire correction from you. You might have to go to OUC to get some of those things corrected, but I can get the entire correction from you.
Right, exactly. Okay. But if you have underlying questions about how does OUC ask these questions, then that would be an OUC conversation, because I'm not privy to that. All I know is that when FEMS gets the call from OUC, OUC says, hey, here's the information we have. It's a priority, it's whatever. This is the address. Here's the patient's name. Those things are going to be on your form. So if there's more specific information that you need about OUC-derived data, then you may have to go to them. But let's keep it simple. Let's deal with what we know and what we don't know. Let's make sure that you know, just hypothetically speaking, let's say there are 20 questions, 20 things on the form. If you have questions about 8 of them, let's get you answers quickly to the 8.
Okay.
And then you can deal with whether or not you can answer that, whether or not you can fill out that letter and get us the letter. Okay? Can we start there, Ms. Agoli?
Everything but my name and address and Social Security number I want an explanation for.
Okay.
So if it's 20 questions, you can omit those 4, those 3, whatever that is. Okay.
But what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to ask you, because, again, we've got to make sure that you get this quickly.
Listen, let me ask you again, what's the deadline here? Because you said I had 60 days to get you that information.
Oh,
I don't have 60 days. I can take until 3 years from now. I'm not going to do that, but I can take until 3 years from now to get you my letter requesting amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
You don't have. I'm sorry?
Am I understanding you correctly?
No, you don't have. We're done with deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more deadlines.
Okay.
Now, there are no more deadlines. Now, you asked, according to HHS, you asked that all references to mental health be removed from the records.
Mm-hmm.
This is what HHS clarified your amendment request as. Removing all references to mental health from your patient care report. That's how they characterized your request. The request that FBMS allegedly did not process.
Okay.
So my goal, because again the context is FBMS believes that their assessment that they made notations about in the record pertaining to mental health, that those assessments are correct. So they have denied your request for an amendment. Again, the context is right now you are writing a letter to FBMS saying, here's why I disagree with your refusal to remove mental health notations. Here is why. And you're basically articulating that in the letter. And then you're saying, and if you're asked for a copy of my record, I want you to provide a copy of this letter along with your disclosure so that the recipient of my record will know that I don't agree with the contents of your record at BMS. That's what we're providing you with the opportunity to do. That's what you have a legal right under the law, under HIPAA, to do. So I want to just sort of narrow you for a moment so that you can get that letter in. You do not have a time limit to do it. If you want to do it next year, you may, but Ms. Agola, you're not going to do that.
No, I'm not going to do that, but it's just, you had mentioned 60 days from February 9th, and I'm thinking, you keep talking about it being in a hurry. It's not because I'm not in a hurry, but I'm going to do about this what I need to do about this. If it takes a couple extra weeks for me, that's what it's going to have to take. But I need to do this correctly. Yeah, I need to do this correctly one time and for all. So that's why I'm asking, is there a deadline? Because if I want to stop the whole process and go talk to a lawyer, I want to be able to do that too, okay? So those things take time, okay? It's not an issue of just the amount of time it takes to type up a letter. Can take me 5 minutes to type up a letter, but the work that goes into writing that can take me, however long it's going to take me. So, I want to do it today, but I can't do it today.
Listen to me. We're talking about mental health information. That's very sensitive information, okay?
Yeah.
If we had a request tomorrow for all the mental health calls, now, we generally do not have requests like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had a request from the Department of Mental Health and they asked for mental health calls so that they could go and provide a rose to everybody who called, and I'm being totally hypothetical,
yeah.
We would be providing them with a copy of your information. What you're saying is that you don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So I want to have your letter on file so that I can say, Department of Mental Health, we're giving you her record, but she doesn't agree, and here's why. They may look at your record and say, we agree with the patient. We don't agree with FBMS. That's what we're trying to provide you with, Ms. Foley, is an opportunity to put that letter on the record.
Yes, I understand that. I also have a question because now that you're saying that, you said it before, and I got the impression, I asked HHS, and also from your letter, maybe it's the way it's worded, but I got the impression that if you do release the file, even if I write nothing to you, that if you do release my file, that you also have to release the fact that I made an issue of it. Either the whole record, or you have to release some kind of synopsis of that, what that record states. That was my understanding from the letter.
Let me tell you that I would have to go back and look at the regulations, and I can give you a call. And basically confirm that. I think at this point, what I believe the law says, and I'll go back and confirm for you. That's a great question. Is if you have information in the record that you don't agree with, you can request an amendment. We can approve it or deny it. You can then write a letter to us telling us why you disagree with our approval or denial.
That's where we are now.
And also, and then you can also tell us whether or not you want your letter or your information included with any disclosures. But you would have to affirmatively request that. That's my understanding, but I will confirm that.
Yeah, please do confirm it. I
do not believe that the law says that I have to now tell every requester that there was an amendment request associated with that.
Yeah,
I don't believe that the law says that.
The letter says it.
But
the letter I got says
I'll confirm that. But again,
yeah, HHS also said it.
Okay, well, I'm going to confirm that because we need to make sure this is done right.
Yeah.
But with respect to, and again, I'm trying to nail down what it is that we will provide explanations for.
I'm going to tell you again, and I don't think maybe I wasn't clear.
I don't want you to tell me. I want you to write it since you want to write. I'm going to send you an email, basically a short, sweet email. And then you can tell me in writing what it is that you have questions about on the form. But remember, your amendment request is for mental health information. So you need to be within the scope of mental health impressions or impressions, because those are the things that you took issue with that got formed the basis for the amendment request.
Well, I also took issue.
If you're talking about, just to finish my thought, if you're talking about, for example, time of the call, place of the call, those kinds of things, they will also be on your form. That's not within the scope of your amendment request. We're trying to, the conversation is about the department's impressions, how they came to this conclusion, the providers that you had, that they observed something that's mental health related, which they put on the form. Therefore, you want to say, this XYZ code says this. What does that mean? That's what you're asking.
Well,
and that
the
will
reason
then
why
inform your letter.
Yeah,
I just want to narrow it.
You're going to get it narrowed. The problem is that I don't know which code. I don't know what all your codes mean. So you have to explain all of them outside of those things that you say, like the address, name, address, or even that could be changed if necessary. But the time the call made, those things are static issues. The realities he came here, whatever. His impression is not a static issue. Mental health issues have to come out because he put that in out of spite. Okay? He put that in, and I have complained about that, and I made it clear in the complaint how that came about. He did that out of spite, but he also did not say why I called an ambulance. What I complained about to him, he didn't document that properly or completely. Okay? So it's not just that he put the mental health issue in there instead of, and totally ignored the other, but that he also ignored why I was calling him. It's not because he didn't acknowledge it when I spoke to him, but because whatever he wrote on form had to do probably more with my refusing to sign the form and the reason why I refused to sign the form. And so he said it was mental health, when it really was a very objectively correct way of handling what he just did. Okay? And so he did that out of spite, but he also omitted stuff that should have been, in there because it was why I called. I mean, you don't call somebody with eye blindness and, or something, or like a numbness or whatever, and you read the paper and it's omitted from there, and that's the reason why you call the ambulance, okay? That's the whole reason, otherwise you wouldn't have called the ambulance. And that's For some reason, that's omitted, but the other stuff is in there. So,
Okay, so Mr. Goley,
yeah.
with respect to the code, with respect to the form, this is what I'm going to be able to help you with. I'm going to be able to help you with making sure that you have explanations for the things that are on the form. If there are things outside of that, I might be powerless in terms of getting you those information, those pieces of information.
Well, you're talking about now the request, my request that whatever, however FAMS determined that his impressions were correct. You're talking about that?
I'm talking about your request for sort of, what are all of these, what are all of the codes and all the questions. If you want a code for sickle cell, a code for pregnancy, I may not be able to get you all of that. I'm going to be able to get you information pertaining to your specific medical record in terms of explaining to you what the medical record says, such that you can understand the items pertaining to yourself, your encounters, so that at the end of the day, if there's anything wrong with that record, your response will be complete because you will understand what your record says. That's what I can provide.
Okay.
Not me personally, because of course I won't know, right? But that's what I can work hard to make sure that you have.
Okay.
Is an explanation of your record. And I think that it would be helpful, again, if you could sort of walk through it with someone. But I hear you when you say that you want it in writing. Clearly you want it in writing because of what's happened in the past, and there's a trust issue. And I hear your concern. I do hear that, and I'm trying to...
you also do these things in writing. You just this is something you do in writing normally. You would never do such an important issue.
No.
Well, maybe you do.
No,
I wouldn't.
No, it's not. Because we're talking about mental health information, and that's very sensitive. And so when you put that in writing and you're going back and forth electronically, then there are risks inherent with sending and receiving those transmissions. Things are sitting in people's email accounts. Emails can be FOIA'd, etc. We'd like to protect your information.
Okay, well then you can send me the email that you can send me that you offered me this, and then I can let you know by email how I want to proceed, whether it be over the phone, whether it be over, and I got to tell you right now that if we do something in a meeting or over the phone, it's not going to end there because I'm going to have more questions later or whatever. I want to provide so that if I don't understand everything the first time it's told me, because after all, this is the most complicated information I've ever had to deal with. Okay, it's totally you have so much information and so many things that can mean one thing, and it's very, very complicated. You can't get a straight answer about something, not because a person won't necessarily want to give you one, but because there's so many variables involved in giving a particular answer. Okay, so I understand that amount, but I also understand that if somebody talks to me once and gives me the stuff, I'm not going to think of everything I need to think of right that minute. I'm going to write things down, and then I'm going to go back and ask you again this particular thing. I wasn't sure what you said about this or whatever.
So how about this, Mr. Gomez? How about this? How about if we can get a time to walk you through the record well, first of all, how about this? How about you tell me on the form, and again, you don't have the form. I'm wondering if
I don't have it in front of me.
Has a number. If every data element is numbered.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm giving you the easy one. Just do them all, except for.
No, but that doesn't make it easy because people have, it takes time to respond to a request like that, and we don't want it to fall between the cracks. We want to make sure that if there are codes for information that you don't understand, that is clearly that you're clearly incapable of comprehending because they're codes that are only known to FEMS or abbreviations. Tell us what those are, box 40, box whatever. And then when you come in, if you want to handle it that way in a face-to-face meeting, then we can walk you through and explain, this is what this means, this is what this means, this is what this means. And then if you want to have a follow-up conversation, maybe a conference call or something like that, then I can see about arranging that as well so that you have an opportunity to ask follow-up questions if you don't understand something on the form. But I don't think it'll be that difficult.
Okay. I think I'd rather not go. Where are you guys located?
So
what's your nearest metro station?
So FEMS is on the corner of 14th and U.
Where's that?
So I think that the nearest metro station is the U Street Cardozo metro stop. So it's about 2 blocks up from the Lincoln Theater.
Okay, well, maybe we can do it over the phone. Maybe we can do it over the phone.
Okay.
Maybe we can do it over the phone.
Yeah, whichever way is easier, but it's going to help them significantly if you look at that form.
Yeah.
And basically say, again, without emailing your personal information. That's what I don't want you to do if we can avoid. But if you tell me...
They already emailed me the form. They sent that to me in the mail, but they sent it to me by email also. They had absolutely... They didn't say that if we sent it to an email, that would be, compromising the rights. They already sent that through email.
Right. Well, it's perfectly legal to send it electronically. I just like to especially when we're talking about sensitive information.
Of course, I didn't know there was sensitive information on there when I asked for it. I had no idea.
Okay.
I mean, it was such a secret for Mr. Butler.
If you're telling me, Mrs. Rowley, I don't agree with this, and then if we come back, the provider believes that this is correct because the provider saw thus and thus and thus, then we're getting way too granular for an email. And I wouldn't want, if I were in your situation, I wouldn't want that kind of information in writing coming to me electronically. I wouldn't. But if you don't have a problem with it, then that's fine.
Well, we can set up a phone conversation to begin with. And then there may be a point, even if that's granular, conversation, if he's lying no matter how granular it gets. And he was lying. See, I know that. That much I know. He can get as ugly as he wants, but I know that he's lying. Okay? So.
Well, you're not gonna have a conversation with the provider, so that's not going to happen in terms of having something adversarial or ugly. We're not doing that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, in terms of me going back, if we were going to do that, I had already said that let's try it on the phone first. But if we were going to do granular over the email, he was already ugly in the thing because what he was talking about wasn't true, okay? He was already being ugly there. And so, whether it gets granular or not, I mean, the more detail you get out of somebody, the more lies come out. So it's actually not that bad. It's better to have it in writing sometimes, something like that, because they can't go back and change it. So, but I'll think about it. I'll think about what you said, and we can, in the meantime, start,
do it in writing.
Huh?
If you want to do it right, if you want to do it in writing,
I can let you know.
That is what you are requesting. We will honor that.
Okay, I will ask you at the excuse me. Mm-hmm. We can start off over the phone, okay, and then we can go on to in writing. If I see it's something I want to do it in writing, I'd rather do it in writing because of what I get over the phone. I will, request it at that point, depending on what is said. But I have to think about it.
I need to know from you, though, and I'm going to ask you, you can send me an email or just to sort of prepare for that, I need to know, like, what codes, I'm not asking you to put the codes in email, especially if they're mental health impressions or whatever, but if you could list them. I need you to tell me in some way, whether you're calling me and telling me what they are.
So that you can be prepared.
Saying box 30, box 40. I want to know what box 30 means. I want to know what box 40 means, so that I can prepare and so that we can, make sure that the conversation is productive.
Okay. I can't tell you that right this second because I have to sit down and read it, because there's another issue here. It's not just what I don't understand, but what seems obvious may not be what I think it is. So I'm going to ask you for more than what I personally can't, interpret for myself, because there's a lot of things in there that could probably mean something other than what I think it means. So I'm going to be asking you for more than you think. We're narrowing it. Yeah.
Mr. Gully, that's fine. I want you to know that that's fine.
Yes, I have to look at the form.
No. Yeah, it's fine. But I want you to know that that the basis for your amendment is to remove mental health information. So I do want to make sure that you have some goal in mind here to get, at the end of the day, to get us a response to the extent that you want to do that, which clarifies your position about the mental health impressions that will remain in your record.
Yeah.
So I do want to make sure that you narrow your.
I don't know which ones are mental health. Some of those codes that I can't read and won't think anything of, except for the fact that I read the rest of it. Some of those codes that I can't read may be mental health issues. I just don't know it.
I understand.
Okay, I can't.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I understand. And again, I'm not looking at the report. You don't have the report in your hand.
No, I don't. I don't have the form. Are you talking, when you say a report, you're talking about additional information that's attached to that I don't have?
No. Let me, and thanks for asking me to clarify. There's an EPCR, that's an electronic patient care report. That is what SCMS refers to as your medical record. It's an EPCR report. Electronic patient care report. That's the report I'm talking about. I think it's like 2 pages. It's like back and front.
Okay, so
medical record.
That's basically probably what you're telling me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's the form with the stuff filled out.
So that's what you're calling the form, and I'm calling the report. Same thing. Yeah.
All right. So we're talking, and the back is probably just printed material that's on back of everything.
I don't know. I'm not reading it. I think that it probably has some boilerplate language, but I'm thinking that it would have patient information on both sides.
Okay. So I will look at what I have. I'll find it. I'll look at what I've got. And I wasn't expecting your call, so I'm not prepared to. I'm disabled. I can't just jump up and go find what I need. I have to sit and figure it, get it, find it, and.
Well, I didn't know you were disabled.
Yeah, I'm physically disabled.
More reason for us to try. Yeah,
I'm physically.
To get this.
I use a walker.
Resolved without having to have you run all over the place.
Yeah, so I can't just jump up and go to where it is right now. I have to walk slowly and all that stuff. So.
Understood.
Okay, I'll find it, and then I also have to look at it quietly and see what I have problems with that are distinct, and then decide which other items to include, because I don't know what they mean for sure, and in case they mean something in the mental health realm, I have to include that just in the event that it is. And if it isn't mental health, they could just tell me what it means, and I'll know, and then I'll know that it's not an issue we have to cover.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's fair enough. Now, in terms of who you talk to, you can call me back, or if you want to just call Ms. Washington back, you may as well. It's just that, like I said, when I reviewed the email and understood that there was a subpoena, I was wondering, as I reviewed it, what it was that you wanted, whether you wanted codes for your specific record, and that's something that I think we can address without a subpoena. If it's something else, then that may be beyond what I can do, and maybe a subpoena is appropriate.
Okay, well,
Your own record.
Yeah, I can
get you that.
Yeah, well, I'll see what you can do, okay? And if that is sufficient for me in terms of addressing this, narrow issue of the mental health, because I didn't just ask for that. I asked for him to be arrested. So, but if that would not be on your patient care report. Right. No, I didn't ask for it then. I asked.
Right.
I asked police.
That would not be on your patient care report.
Yeah.
So, and that would not be the basis of the amendment.
Right. Right. No, it wouldn't be the basis.
To do that.
In a way, it would be because once I found out, in a particular when I found out what he wrote down on this report, which I didn't know he had written that. When he brought me to the hospital and wherever, I had no idea that what he was documenting. Okay, so I found that out when Myra Banks, or whatever her name is, Myra Terrell, I forgot her name. It'll be in one of my emails. When she sent me that, that's when I realized what the problem was and what he wrote down on the thing. And I was just totally amazed. And I went and I told Gerald Cole about it. He was about to go into it and, get it changed and whatever. And then after that, he never wrote me back. No matter how many times I asked him for the codes or how many times I asked him for some kind of response, he never wrote me back.
Okay, I understand. I do understand. So with respect to when you call back with the items on that form that you need clarified, you can talk with me or you can talk with Ms. Washington. But what I have discussed with Ms. Washington is that I think that a meeting and sort of walking you through it should suffice to make sure that you understand what's in your record, because that's what I think at the end of the day is at least a piece of this. There are other things that you need to do in terms of, disciplinary things or behavioral things that you want somebody else to.
It was explained to me.
Agency to address, and that goes beyond making sure that your record is correct.
Well,
your medical record.
If you don't correct the record, I was told by the police that you guys have to decide he needs to be arrested. Okay, and then they will arrest him.
Listen to what I'm saying, Ms. Agoli. My goal is to make sure, because you have federal rights pertaining to the accuracy of the medical record. Mm-hmm. We processed an amendment to remove mental health information, and we're waiting for that letter. The scope of what I'm dealing with is making sure that you have an opportunity to respond, because the department has denied the request to remove mental health information. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to respond to that. If it's anything outside of your medical record, then that would be something that would be beyond the scope of what I do. That would be something, I guess as you've done before in terms of talking with the chief or having other conversations. My goal is to make sure that your HIPAA rights with respect to you having an opportunity to correct the record or to amend the record yourself with your own explanation, that we provide you with that opportunity for your medical record part, just for that part. Arrests and other things like that, that's outside of your medical record.
I know.
Your medical record would deal with an impression, your blood pressure, the things that identify you as an individual. Those things are in your medical record. The other stuff is not in your medical record.
No,
and that would be something outside of the privacy office. This is just the privacy office.
Yes. Well, yes, but if the medical record is only amended by attaching my opinion with your record rather than actually amended. That can affect what I can do outside of it. So it is important. It may not be anything you can do, beyond what your scope is. But what you guys decide will affect how I can exercise my rights once that's out of the way. So it's it is not unrelated at all. There may not be something you handling within the scope of your thing, but I was told that unless Fen decides that he did something wrong when you decided he didn't, that that they can't arrest him because they decided that he did the right thing. Okay.
Right. So again, the arrest that's so far out of my scope. I don't know. That's far beyond anything that I handle. So if there's something else that you need to do, then that's fine, and that may involve the legal process that you're pursuing, because FEMS will get subpoenas all day for information and things like that. So we're not trying to make sure that FEMS doesn't get a subpoena. What I'm trying to make sure is that if it's something pertaining to your HIPAA rights and your record, that you don't take steps that you don't have to take in order for you to get that information, because I believe that I can get you an explanation of what the codes are and things they perceive to that visit.
I also need to know, once that I got that, I need to know if he followed the proper protocol and what your reasoning is for his following. Where would I get that one thing?
That would be in terms of protocol and things like that. I don't know if that would be, I guess that would be maybe something that could be discussed with the office of the chief medical officer within FEMS, and maybe the meeting to have you have would be with Chief Raphael Sahada. Maybe that might be a conversation to have about protocols and things like that. I wouldn't know that. Again, I'm not within FEMS operations. I'm dealing with the privacy rights. I'm dealing with protecting your data and making sure that it's accurate and complete. The other treatment issues and things, those are beyond my purview. I hope you understand that. I believe you do.
I understand that. Somebody's got to answer that question, though, so I'm asking. Maybe you're not the one to answer, but that's going to be the second step. Or that could be a step right now, because whatever's on the form is on the form, whether I know what it is or not. I've written a letter about it or not yet, but whatever the decision to say he did it correctly was based on a certain protocol, and I'd like to know what that was. Because
So what I'll do then is, you understand that my purview is privacy. What I will also ask the department is who you can talk to about to address protocol questions.
Our protocol as regards that particular report. I may have questions about it beside that, but we're going to focus on my situation and why they, not so much why I think it shouldn't be that, but why they decided it should be that. It should be considered correct.
Okay, so then.
So who can I hear from about that?
Ms. Agoli, I'm not really sure, but I know that all that I can do is ask the questions. But you're clear about what it is that I can do and what I can respond to. I will ask whether or not you can have not whether you can have a conversation, but with whom you should speak or correspond about about protocol, about protocol matters pertaining to your encounter. I can ask that as well. I think that probably would be Chief Saada. I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm happy to ask that question as well for you.
Yeah. Okay. You can you can either call me.
At this point, just to finish this call and just to make sure that I'm clear, am I sending you an email just basically asking you if you can communicate with either myself or Ms. Washington what the areas of the, which specific areas of the form SEMS needs to explain for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will also confirm that you want to have a contact for discussing protocols with respect to the call. Just to confirm that.
Yeah, you can confirm that. That's what I want. And if this individual, which you say is outside your purview, this individual may have the purview to be able to mail me. If he doesn't want to put it in the email, maybe he wants to mail it to me. The information that, documents that FEMS decided that he was telling the truth, basically, and why, how that protocol worked. They must have that in writing to have been able to write to me saying that it was correct, accurate. So they have to have that in writing.
I don't know that you would ever get that from anyone in writing in terms of what any covered entity does in its own investigation to determine whether or not a record needs to be amended or not, because the rule, the law doesn't require that. I think that what you might, the closest thing that you might have is probably like an agency policy or something like that, basically saying if you have a request to amend a record or something like that, you might have that, but nothing's going to say, we, sit down with the provider, we ask these, nothing's going to say that, and the law doesn't require that. I don't know that any provider would ever, whether it's MedStar, et cetera, I just don't, I think that's something that you probably would not get through this process in terms of me again.
No, not in terms of you, in terms maybe of this protocol person that's going to contact me. I'm thinking because you really, something like
a protocol written that's going to say that. because we're talking about HIPAA here. We're talking about HIPAA.
Here with you, we are talking about HIPAA.
Figuring out whether or not the EPCR is correct. That's what we're talking about, Mr. Goldman.
Yeah, well,
you're asked,
EPCR.
Now you asked what their mental impressions were and how they came to that conclusion. And I think that goes beyond what the law requires. And I don't even know that exists. And I'm just being honest with you. I don't know that exists.
Well, if somebody wants to take legal action over somebody making that assessment, you have to have some document. You can't just write me a letter saying that he's accurate and then you don't have any paperwork on it. Not you personally, but your agency writes me a letter saying that what he said was accurate, but you don't have no record of what he said, except for this form?
Again, if you go back to what the law requires in terms of what the agency has to provide you with in writing, that's what the agency does. That's what any covered entity will do. They will meet the requirements of the law. And in terms of providing that, the law does not say that they have to amend it with other documentary evidence. They review your request and they approve it or deny it, and they have to respond to you in writing, citing various items. And that's what your letter has in it. HHS doesn't require other information, because if they did, then that would be a part of how my office would process those, and I would make sure that with a letter, the letter would explain, here's how we came to this conclusion, but the law does not require that. In we don't have an internal written protocol which would tell you how in every instance we make a determination, or the agency makes a determination as to whether or not a medical record is accurate or inaccurate.
Well, then I have to go by what I experienced with Anita Massengale, and she just protected him, and that's all there was to it. There wasn't anything else to it. So.
Well, I don't know, and again, I know that there's been some history here, and there's been conversations with people I don't even know. I'm just telling you in terms of what the law requires, and whether it's MedStar or whether it's FEMS, what people would provide to you. I'm just wanting you to understand what the law requires and what it doesn't require. That's
okay.
all.
The other thing you were going to get back to me about is whether the letter I got that says that whether I write a statement or not, you have to include at least a synopsis, if not the record, of any complaint that you got, or I guess in this case it would be something from HHS, because I was never, nobody responds to me, so I could complain at FEMS at the time that I originally started complaining. So you were going to get back to me to let me know if, since February 9th, if you got a request for records, if you have to include that information in there also, because you're saying that if I don't write anything, the record goes out as is. And the letter from Angela Washington, and also what I got from HHS, if I understood that correctly, says the opposite, that because you got a complaint or you got contacted by HHS, you do have to include something to the effect of what, that there was a dispute about the record.
Ms. Ngoli, I really don't understand what you just said.
You said that...
I don't understand what you said.
You said that February 9th, you were told by HHS that there was a dispute about the record. You have to, they filled out the form for me, I guess, okay? And you expressed concern throughout that until I write a letter, the record, if it is requested, will go out as it is, without my letter disputing that record or explaining.
Okay, so you're collapsing two things. First of all, I told you when it was that my office became aware that there was an issue, or that there was an allegation that FEMS did not process the amendment request, right? And so because I became aware of that, that's why I even had the opportunity to review this email, which basically had referenced your subpoena, because my office became aware on February the 9th that you had an issue with our processing of amendments. So I really want to watch this and make sure you're taking care of Mr. Goldway. That's my goal.
Okay, yeah. But the other, you were going to answer me about something else in addition to that.
No, but that's why I explained the February 9th.
Mm-hmm.
The other issue is about disclosures, that anybody who has your information, the doctors, the hospitals, any covered entity, may make certain disclosures under the law of your records. If they receive a legal request for your information, there are sometimes when they make these disclosures without the patient's involvement, like if it's required by law, like for the Department of Health or the police department wants it. There's just certain narrow legal reasons why you would have to turn over a record. If your doctor called and said, I need to have this information, then notice from this department basically says that there are some times when we will release your records. What I was explaining is that if we have a letter, if we have an amendment that was denied, and then we have a letter, a subsequent letter that you basically file with this department to say that you disagree with the department's determination, and here's why. And then you also make the request that our denial and your letter be a part of the record. And when you make those disclosures, we will disclose those as well, so that the recipient of the record about you will have a full picture.
I'm going to read you from the letter that I got. If FMS does not agree with your statement of disagreement, we will provide you with a copy of our rebuttal. If you do not wish to submit a written statement of disagreement, you may still request that we provide your request for amendment and our denial of your amendment request with any further disclosures.
Okay, so wait a second. When you first begin that quote, read the first sentence.
If FEMS does not agree with your statement of disagreement, we will provide you with a copy of our rebuttal. If you do not wish to submit a written statement...
Stop right there. At this point, that's the letter that you're trying to provide, the letter of disagreement.
Right. Yes, I know.
What I'm trying to do is to make sure that you understand your medical records so that you can file the letter of disagreement with the bowling.
Okay.
So we haven't even gotten to the rebuttal.
Okay, you can provide a rebuttal, but in the interim, my understanding was, because I asked HHS to give me like a clarification, maybe I didn't understand them either, but if you do not wish to submit a written statement of disagreement, you may still request that we provide your request for amendments and our denial of your amendment request with any further disclosures. If so, submit a written letter to my attention. In other words, I can ask that I can, without writing you a statement of disagreement, which it's not my intention. I do intend to write such a letter. But if I choose not to write that, you still have to write, you still have to disclose my disagreements with, basically with when you disclose a record, you still have to disclose a disagreement that that I am not in agreement with that record somehow.
Right. Your amendment request. You're absolutely correct. Okay. So that means that earlier what I was talking about was the letter, whether or not that would have to be disclosed without your approval. You're talking about just the very fact that you filed an amendment request and that we denied it. Yes, we will do that in the interim as long as you request that.
Okay. Do I have to do that in writing?
That's an affirmative request. You can provide. I would feel more comfortable if you provided that in writing. And again, you want to provide that to Angela Washington. Yes.
Okay, so I just send her a quick email saying that I am requesting, as part of one of my options is to request that as of immediately, you should indicate, whenever you disclose my records, you should also disclose that I made an amendment request, and then I can do the other later, the disagreement. I can do it, I don't have to do that immediately. I can do that whenever I'm going to do it, whenever I've gotten my answers and everything. But I can immediately write her something saying I am requesting you to disclose the fact that I asked for an amendment, to the record. So I can do that immediately.
That is my understanding of the rule. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next thing that has to happen is I got to call you. Or we could say Angela Washington. Call back with the questions and ask about protocol. Who I'm going to talk to them about that.
Give me your email. Let me get your email address before you hang up. Wait a second. And thanks for your patience here. I just really wanted to because I do understand that there's been a lot of history here, and I want to make sure that you leave this call empowered with the information that, with just some understanding at least of process, so that we're not going around in circles here. Let's see. What's happening here? Wait a second. Okay. Mr. Goldie, what's your email address?
ANNA_AGOLLI
Okay. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to call this amendment, follow-up of conversation regarding amendment denial. Okay. And the first thing, just to make sure, is to ask okay, and the second, okay, so the first was to ask for the letters of, okay, let's see, the parts of the EPCR which need explanation, and the second is to provide you with contact for protocol questions pertaining to your call, your encounter. Okay. All right. I think I'm good. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to comment on is I'm going to ask you to provide areas of the EPCR which need to be clarified in advance of a conference call, and I'll say conference call. Okay, and then the second is to tell you that to confirm that you asked that we provide you with contact for getting protocol questions answered pertaining to that transport in question. Okay.
Okay. What's your direct
And I'll
dial?
send you that, and again, you can correspond with whomever you'd like. That's fine. You can talk with Ms. Washington. That's fine. I'm just glad that she shared the email with me, just so that we could, stop you from having to take the extra step of going and getting the court order to get the explanation of the EPCR. I'm sure that we can provide that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Goley. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Sure.
On the phone for 2 hours.